Welcome to DS Trucks. In today's video, we are going to be doing the fuel filters on our 2020 F450 with the 6.7 liter POWERSTROKE diesel V8. The first thing I like to do when changing the fuel filters on the Ford diesel truck is to start the process of draining the fuel out of the water separator. There is a fuel cartridge in here that will need to be replaced with the fuel filter here. This will be the lower filter. I guess you could say it's the primary filter. No tools required. Just crack that loose, draining the water separator, starting that whole process. While that lower filter is starting to drain, I like to divert my attention up here to the upper filter, and this is the secondary filter. Now, if you don't separate this filter, this will drain for quite a long time, but I do believe once you take these connections off, the draining is a lot shorter down below. So let me set up the camera and I'll show you how I take these off. Alrighty, so to take these off, you pretty much just have to feel for these clips. Hopefully you guys can see this. This is green one. You just kind of look at how they come apart and you take them apart, not breaking. And these are easy to break, I've been told. So I don't do this a whole bunch, but just a matter of looking at how they come apart and taking them apart. Two little tabs here on the green, not forcing nothing. Boom, got the green one off like that. That easy. Not a whole bunch of spillage on that one. I do think it helps to have the water separator open. This one is hard to see, but you just, like I say, feel for it, use common sense. Careful not to break anything. Maybe I'll go ahead and get this rear one off first. Real easy. That comes right up. That comes right off. So basically lifting this up and moving it. Super easy again. Is there more than one step here to this one? I got it up. Let's see. Got it all the way up. And that's that. That should come off. Super easy. Super easy to slide these off. A little bit of spillage again. Nice to have a rag just for that little bit of spillage. And the center one, the way it's positioned is hard to see, but just again feeling for it, not breaking stuff, being patient, taking your time, and there you go. That's how it works. And pulling it back just like that. This process is not hard. And then you rotate this, pull it up, and it is out. So with this out, I'm just taking it out of the truck and keeping as much fuel in this as I can and not letting the fuel spill out everywhere. Then I'll go ahead and dump this in my container, and that's it. So I believe breaking these loose, opening the drain down below, breaking these loose makes it so that the seal doesn't carry all your fuel, because if you just open the water separator, you can drain quite a lot of fuel out of the system. Alright guys, so I just got the top filter off, and you will notice that now it is no longer dripping out of the bottom. Now the first time I did this, I did the process a little bit different, and I ended up with a whole freaking couple, like a gallon or maybe more of fuel in my bucket. But like I was saying, I believe breaking that top seal, not letting this thing drip forever and ever. Now at this point, I could either throw the new filter in on the top side, or I could throw the filter down below. It really doesn't matter. I am actually going to put the new filter in on top now, so the top will entirely be done. But before I do that, let's take a look at what we have inside of our box here. I always get this from the dealership. I don't mess around. You never know what you're getting from Amazon. You never know the parts. You never know where they're coming from. The only other alternative that I would consider is going to one of their dealerships that sells parts online and using their part service, and they'll ship it out to you. But I just make the trip up to the dealership. I get an invoice. I write all my mileage and everything down on my invoice, and I change my oil and everything. I get the filter, the oil filter from the dealership, and the fuel filters I do every other oil change. I get them from the dealership. It probably costs a little bit more that way, but that is, in my opinion, the best way to make sure you have genuine parts, and with fuel filters, I think that is critical. But I am going to go ahead and put this in up top. That way my hoses are not left. I mean, they're not left up without being connected. Not that that's an issue, but when you look inside the box, you got this is your new upper filter, and you've got some packaging, and you've got your new lower filter real nice in the bag. Huge setup here, and this is nice because once you take the old one out, you can see the condition of it, and if there's a ton of material building up, because everything's kind of exposed. You also have a new gasket. This goes down in the lower filter, and you have these little brackets. I do not believe these are necessary on a 2020, but some of the older ones had a weak connection here on this upper filter when those are used, but we do not need to use those. But anyway, let's get up under the hood and put this new filter in. All right, guys, so here we are. We are going to be putting this in, and Ford is nice enough to cover up this one. This must be a critical one. So real simple. You just go ahead and take this off. You put on, doesn't matter what order. So a couple of things with putting this on. You could just take it and put it on like this. Well, before we even do that, we've got to put this in here, and we've got to set it down and turn it. And once we do that, this is now locked into its position, and it cannot pop back out. Now from there, everything's just kind of laying in its correct spot. So I do believe you could just push this thing back down like so. See here. So with this green one, it doesn't want to go back down. So when you push it back in, now you can push it back down. So the green tab will not go back down unless it's in. So you got to slide it on. When these are up, you slide them on, and boom. Again, now you line everything up. You don't force nothing. Oh, there you go. Back in. Boop. And then on this one, give it a little, make sure everything's straight. Push it, and then clip it. Now that I've done that, I do want to maybe try to show you this one more time if you didn't get it, how to remove these. I know it's kind of a hard thing that really a lot of people struggle. So with the green one, maybe this is a better angle. With the green one, you just lift. There's just two of these. With the green one, you lift them up, and then you push this up, and once it starts to move, you just pull this up, and then it comes off. We'll put it back all the way, make sure it's all the way in, and lock in our tabs, and make sure it's not going to pop back off on you. Now this middle one, the way this is on my truck, it's harder to get this middle one off until you get this one off. So with this one, you just, again, you don't want to break anything, but you take these little plastic tabs here, spread these two apart like that, lift it up, make sure it goes all the way out, and then you back it on up. Slow, easy, don't break it. Boom. That little bit of residual fuel around there, that's a good thing. Just don't worry about that residual fuel. You want that for the O-rings. So the fuel left over in the lines, I like to leave in there. Now for this one in the middle, you just take these two tabs here. They're blind, they're on the bottom, you cannot see them, and you push them up and let the plastic clip pop up, and you pull it back, and then off it comes. So again, you can see the little bit of fuel just from changing this out. A little residual fuel gets on the nipple there, and then you slide it in, make sure it's all the way in, close your clip, lock it, make sure it's engaged fully. Same thing here. You can rotate this just a little to align it better, and just push it all the way. Now there you go, all the way. Nothing's broken, nothing's breaking, and there you go. There you have it, all tight, no problems, nothing broke. Beautiful. That's what you want. So top filter is now done. Let's remember to get our rag out of here. We don't want the engine running. And then you can wipe this little bit off that's spilt, and you can brake clean this if you would prefer not to smell fuel while you're driving down the road. So yeah, let's go ahead and just clean that a little bit off, and that's the upper fuel filter for you guys. Anyway, let's shoot to the bottom and go ahead and get the bottom one off. All right, here we are down on the bottom. Now, the reason that I like to do everything up top while after this is draining is to start that whole process of draining, and then I can come down here and do my thing. So this, I don't know, this drill is set up to pull these off. I don't know if it has enough power. So it's like a little bit too low in the power department to get these off. Let's see here. I have to turn it by hand just a little. But this shows you how loosely torqued these are. You don't want to over tighten these, obviously. And before I go too far, let me get this plug out of the way. There is a plug here. Little push pin button right there, and plug out of the way. Okay. So we've got screws around the perimeter. And again, just this gun, you've got to actually, because it's, I don't know, the gun's kind of broken, to be honest. This one can't really fit the gun, so that one. This one almost wants a ratchet, so I can't fit on there without a longer adapter. Oh, here's an extension. Maybe this little bit of an extension will work it. We'll see. 1/4 drive-inch extension. Yep, that kind of gets it. So just being for the spirit of time, I'm using a drill. I don't believe there's one there. Nope. One that I can't see quite too good. It's over here somewhere. All right, open the drill just a little bit. All right, so now I can see it coming down. Did I get them all? I do believe these screws stay in the housing here. Oh, there she goes. Some of these are still up in here. And this one still in there. All right, don't need nothing falling. So real simple, come down here and just this, you remove it. It's got a little removal arrow to remove it. Yep, you can feel it click. There's your old filter. And from here we can pull this out. Oh, didn't mean to drop it, but pull out the housing. All right, guys, now from here we can see the contents of this filter, and you can see sometimes there's some little specks in there, whatever. I just like to try to get this little bit of fuel that's left over in here, moving around a bit, and then carry that out and let it drop. Now we can get this thing set up for our new filter. All right, guys, so there is an O-ring here that you can pull out. Hopefully I can pull it out without like a screwdriver or something, but we'll see. All right, using that screwdriver did seem to do the trick. and pulling that guy out of there like so. There's the old O-ring, and here is the new O-ring. Just pushing in the new one right away. Now, I've seen guys use brake clean and clean this out real nice, and that's cool. As long as you dry it out real good, no problems there. But for me, it looks good enough. Not really sweating it too much. I think the best thing would, if you had on hand some clean fuel, that would be the optimum way to clean this out. But brake clean's fine as well. But just going around and making sure this O-ring is in there good. As you can see, it looks pretty good and clean. No problems there. So our new filter is right here and real nice. Nice in the bag. And you can see the hooks, which tell you how to install it. Really can only go one way. Like so. Put it in. And you can feel that click. And it's in. As you can see, the screws are retained. And we are good to go. All right, let's get back under the truck. Now, things to consider. So this has to go, which way does it go? It goes this way. And I don't want to drop this guy. I do want to be ready with this, and I do want to go ahead and hand start these screws. So coming in, new filter, I locked it in, good to go. Go straight up in there, no messing around. Hand starting. So for the guys that, if you've got one of these trucks and you haven't been wrenching for a long time, these little screws are very easy to cross thread. Very easy to cross thread. And you cross thread one of these, you will be in trouble. So hand starting these, not with the tool, not with the drill, not with the ratchet, but by hand. Only by hand. Very difficult to cross thread by hand. Oop. All right, so got everything started by hand, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the drill. Everything started, and I'm gonna just bring everything up, not hit nothing yet tight, just getting it going, and starting the center. And all right, so I got it all drawn up, and now I'm going to tighten them down. Now this drill is set so that it won't over tighten. Yeah, I've already kind of set the drill up to kind of know that it won't break these, because I know it wouldn't break them loose. So yeah, I can go ahead and make sure they're all good. 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 Now, this drill has a clutch. Don't try this with a impact or anything. This is not an impact drill. This is just a drill with a clutch. It's already been set up to what we need as far as torque. It's not an exact science here, but I do know that this torque number, these numbers here, it's not enough to break anything in here. So I'm also going to go ahead and give them a little turn by hand with the drill hooked up, because literally the drill might not even be tightening these up enough. Just that little turn was what it needed to take these off. So just everyone's going to get a little bit of a turn. Just like that. Okay. Tight. So everything's been tightened up real nice and even. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws, 3 on the front and 2 on the back, tight to the tank. And the top, or the drainer water separator, is now closed, so that we don't make a mess when we go to prime it. And don't forget the plug. And I've got to get rid of this extra tape. I don't know why I've got extra tape here. Kind of an issue. Don't want to look like something's hanging off my truck, but my water separator detection is plugged in. I'll have to get some scissors for that. All right, guys, so we got the bottom done. Everything's plugged in up here on top. I did pull on these to make sure that they are not popping back off. I think that is a good practice. I do know that they are installed good and nothing is broken. So super careful up here not to break anything. Don't want that big issue. If you break one of these lines, it's a big issue. Again, with the bottom being 8mm, the lower filter is only 8mm. You don't want to break those. You don't want to over tighten those. So be careful. Use hand tools if you can. Super careful down on the bottom. Now, this is one of the most important steps. Please excuse the saltiness. Truck does get used for work, but this is going to be one of the most important steps, and that is priming the system. And I think a lot of times this step is forgotten. So what you want to do is go ahead and put the truck in the on position. You can leave the door open if that helps. You can leave the door open if that helps you hear. It's good to turn off the HVAC because you want to hear your fuel pump. And you can hear it running. I'll take my microphone and put it down there. It's almost like the system knows. But while that's happening, it's not a bad idea to peek under here and make sure nothing is leaking. So I think that first time you turn the key, it's good to turn off the HVAC, turn off the radio, and just listen. You're gonna hear it pumping, and I think maybe it kind of knows that there's no pressure. But after it does that thing, you could kind of hear it filling back up. Turn it off. Turn it on again. And listen. You can hear it pumping. And you wait and you let it pump. You let it do its thing, and you listen for the audible sound of air and fuel moving around. And you basically, I could even hear it underneath the hood there for a second. On that second push, I heard air moving around and fuel getting up to this upper filter. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do that again. Now, the point of doing this is you're waiting in between for everything to stop quiet down. So it just stopped. Now I'm going to do it again. This is going to be number 3. And every time it does it, it sounds better and better every time. It sounds like it's more full. The first time I didn't hear anything underneath the hood, and now underneath the hood I can hear that fuel is getting up to this top filter. Now the reason you want to do this is the CP4 pump is on the engine. It's down in the underneath the intake. It's down in there pretty deep, but that pump needs fuel to lubricate it. That pump down there, it powers your high pressure fuel system. It needs fuel in it to lubricate it. And if there is no fuel present and it runs dry, it will cause damage to it and shorten its life. And next thing you know, that pump fails. And the thing about that pump failing, even though it's only a couple $100, whatever, it takes out over $10,000 worth of equipment. It requires huge disassembly of the engine. The fuel injectors need to be replaced. All this downstream damage happens, and that could be simply from you not priming the system correctly. So like we just did 3 pumps, we're letting it pump fuel, we are listening for it. The engine, all the distractions are off, the radio's off, the HVAC is off, everything's off, and we're just priming it. So engine off, or key well, we don't have a key, so we have push button start, so we've got to just press it. And we're listening for it. Now, I like to do this 8 times. I don't remember the exact amount of times, but I say do this at least enough for you to hear it sounding different. It's really starting to sound like there's less and less air in the system. And it's doing it for shorter periods of time. The first time that we primed this system, after taking the filter out, it really took a long time to prime. It really kept pumping and pumping and pumping. Now, we can hear that our fuel pump, it's still air in the system. You can hear it kind of squirting around, but it's getting shorter and shorter. So this is something you want to know too if you ever drain a water separator. The manual, I think, recommends like every month you drain your water separator. I know most people don't do that, but if you ever drain it, it's a good idea to go ahead and prime the system again. So yeah, they're getting shorter and shorter. You know, the primes are getting shorter and shorter. One more time. Still moving some fuel around, nothing crazy. Again, we're watching for leaks and everything. We can check underneath the hood again for leaks. But now that we've done this, you can hear it still. If you come up under the hood, you can still hear it. But you don't hear a ton of air. You can hear hissing here. You can hear the hissing of the fuel. And that's what I'm doing when I'm priming. I'm kind of looking up around here, looking for sounds. There it goes. So the way that sounds now, everything sounds like it's kind of gotten fuel through the system. I'm not hearing a ton of air. Let's go ahead and start the truck up and see if it takes a long time to start. Hopefully it fires right up. Foot on the brake. And that's what you want. Fired right up. No long cranks. Nothing crazy like that. You can still hear as it's running that there's some air squirting out of the back there, but if you've seen some of these YouTube videos of guys doing fuel filters and they're cranking and cranking and cranking, it won't start. There's no fuel. Well, that's not good. If you want, you can prime it more times. Like I said in the past, I did it like 8 times just to be safe. You know, whatever the manual says, do that. But if you got good charged batteries and everything, then by all means pump the system up. But the one thing you don't want is it to be cranking and have a no start situation, meaning that your CP4 pump is running dry. So engine sounds great. First time of the day starting it up, but it's 40 degrees. The truck was plugged in up until about maybe 45 minutes ago. I brought my dump trailer home and I'm charging my dump trailer. Actually, it's over there in front of the house and I am charging it up so it took my plug away. The dump trailer took my plug away, but nonetheless, it was interesting to see how warm, like the whole engine was warm just from being plugged in. So that was pretty interesting. But anyway, guys, I do want you guys to tell me what I could do better as far as this fuel filter change. What do you guys suggest I adjust here to make this process a little bit better? Do you think I am going about this the right way, in the right order, the right steps? Comment below and tell me what you think. And if you are in the area and you need maintenance on your Ford Super Duty, shoot me a message on Instagram and I will see if we can fit you in. I know a lot of people are tired of going to dealers for oil changes and fuel filters and stuff like that. And if you need it done, we can work something out, and I can maybe set aside some time and do some maintenance for some of the subscribers that are in the area and interested in doing some of this stuff to their truck. In my experience going to the dealer, a lot of times they talk you out of using synthetic oil. They don't have time for certain things. They might even talk you out of a fuel filter because Ford says they can go like 20,000 miles, but most mechanics are going to say change them every other oil change, which could be 20,000 miles if your driving conditions will allow you to go 20,000 miles or 10,000 miles on one oil change. Then 20,000 miles could in theory be every other oil change. But anyway, guys, this is DS Trucks. See you guys in the next video. Over and out.